You are listening to the Baobab Project. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us under the Baobab tree from wherever you are in the world today. We are joining you from Halifax, Nova Scotia. We've got so much to explore, from culture to lifestyle to health, relationships, education, and so much more. Now over to our podcast host for today.
Okay, so today we wanted to talk about something that is common for Canadians to talk about, and that is the weather. I had to leave Canada to understand how much we consider weather a norm to talk about. And from best friends to family to dating, it's just crazy how much we talk about the weather here. And there's a lot to talk about with the weather in Canada, especially Nova Scotia. So we kind of wanted to talk about how the weather, especially winter, is affecting us. I'm really interested to hear from individuals that have moved from warmer climates and what their experiences are here with our winter. And I want to understand how it affects everyone. Something that's very common here and in other countries is seasonal affective disorder, and it can have a serious negative influence on someone. I learned that winter needs to be embraced as much as possible, because we're certainly not going to change it or make it go away or have any kind of control over it whatsoever. But here, at least here in Nova Scotia, there are a ton of activities that can really help the winter blues. So some of the questions that I'm interested in asking everyone has to do with your experience before and after. And I want to start with, has anyone here been told what to expect from Canadian winter or Nova Scotian weather?
Well, I'm Canadian, so I already knew about Canadian weather, but I didn't know about Nova Scotian weather. And I had thought that it was the same thing.
No.
But it is not.
Oh, no.
It is not. So yeah, I was not told at all what to expect coming out from Toronto. I'm from Toronto, so coming from Toronto to the East Coast, I was lost. Yeah, completely lost.
Yeah, I had some time in Toronto. I lived there for a few years, and your winters are no joke either.
They call it the army.
Yeah.
Like they call the army for our winters. They call like the military to like shovel snow. So
does anyone here, I'm not sure if you've been in Canada long enough or remember this, but does anyone remember when was it the National Guard was brought into Toronto?
Yeah, I remember that.
Anyone else here remember that?
I was there. I was one of those times.
So we do have quite a few folks here who are international and might not even remember white wine.
Yeah.
Right. So here in Nova Scotia, we've had some serious weather. So you walk the streets and you see 6 feet of snow on the banks, and the doors were covered and all that. That is Canadian weather. And a lot of my neighbors said that, they appreciate snow, but not this much.
In doses.
Yeah. And I see some of the members on this panel is cringing. You know what we forgot to do? We forgot to introduce everyone.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
We did forget that, yeah.
We're under the baobab tree today, and under this tree, we want to have discussions that will ease people's minds, help folks to understand what's happening in our community, but more so, we want to educate the people around us about our own experiences based on various topics that we discussed. And today, my co-host Leah has done somewhat the introduction of telling you what we're going to do. And what I'll do is just open the floor and allow our panel members and members who are also watching in to just say their names, and maybe Leah, you take this part and help us to introduce the folks around us.
I'll start with myself. My name's Leah Jones. I'm working on my master's in education. And this is my practicum part of it. Enjoying it immensely. And my bestie over here, Stefan.
Hi, everybody. My name is Stefan Grant. I also go by the name AKA Mr. Do. I'm an industrial shutdown laborer for Clean Harbors. I work seasonally out in Alberta. And in my off time, I rap and make music. So, yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Juliet. I am an international student from Nigeria. And this is just my 2 months of being here, and I am so happy to join.
Oh, wow.
Okay, 2 months. Fresh.
And I've been here for almost 20 years. My name is Randy Headley, and I am in this department, I am the advisor, Black Student Advisor at Mount St. Vincent University. On the line, we have Stephanie. Stephanie, you want to jump in and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Steph Hughes. And like Leah, I'm working on my master's in lifelong learning. And I've kind of joined the podcast team as part of my practicum contribution to that degree. And I'm here to listen in and learn from you guys. And yeah, thanks for having me.
And Ajoke?
Hi everyone, my name is Ajoke. I'm a graduate student at the Mount. I'm currently rounding up my thesis on the acculturation of African international students at the Mount. I'm happy to be here today, and I hope to learn a few things and have a nice conversation.
All right. So yeah, we could get right into that really awesome question that Leah just asked. You know, Leah, you want to pick up from there? What are our experiences in the Nova Scotian weather?
Yeah, so when I was overseas, I was living in Thailand, and all of my students constantly, as soon as they heard I was from Canada, it was always, oh, it's cold over there. That's cold. I was asked if we all take boats to work. I was asked about polar bears a lot. I had one student ask if we rode them.
Oh my goodness.
So, I want to come from an educational point of view.
Yeah, definitely.
With some humor. No, it is not an Arctic country, but we certainly do have our Arctic moments. Randy brought one up with White Wand. We've had a couple of those,
yeah,
for sure. But I'm interested to hear what you heard about our weather here. Has anybody warned you, or?
I wasn't warned. I just came here and experienced it for myself. I think I moved here in 2021, sort of in 2016, 17. And the first year I was here, I woke up one morning and I looked outside and I was like, where's my car? Like, no, for real, I have pictures, I can send it to you. Like, I was like, where's my car? Like, I don't see, and then I was like, I kind of like leaned this way, and then like the breeze had blown off like a little corner. I was like, is it my window? Literally as tall as the car, like my car was covered. I've never seen that. I've never seen that. And we get some crazy winters in Toronto, and I've never seen a car covered completely. I was just like, what is this?
No.
Like, is this real snow? It didn't have anything. They just dropped dust on us from the sky. It was crazy. Well, yeah, like I said, I was not told what to expect. Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
I came everything, it was just the same. It was just the same.
Yeah.
But then I should have figured closer to the water. Like I just
Right.
so many things I should have
Yeah.
I should have screamed, your car will get covered in snow.
Yeah.
I didn't take the warning sign, so that's what I got.
How about you, Lydia? Is Lydia still here with us? No? Ajoke, how about you? Were you warned about the weather?
Yeah, I think I was, so to speak. So I moved here. I was in the US for a bit before I came here. And I think what I heard the most was, it's going to be, the weather here is more brutal than what you have in the US. So I had people tell me that the jackets I was wearing, like, don't expect your jackets to work when you get to Canada. Like, you're going to have to get like Canadian jackets. And I'm like, okay, isn't it like the same? Because in my mind, I felt like, oh, it's winter, like there's going to be snow and all of that. And I felt like it was just like that across the continuum from the US to Canada. But I heard a lot about how that it was different. And I think specifically about Nova Scotia, I heard about how that, the weather could be unpredictable. So, you probably have rain during the day, for instance, and it stops, you think it's gone, and then, it comes back again. So yeah, I did hear a few things about the weather.
Absolutely true. It's okay. They say in Nova Scotia, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes and you'll get your choice. Right?
Yeah, I think it's true though. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, coming here, I was literally put in a cold place. I wouldn't tell you where those cold places are, to get a feel of what Canadian weather will be like. So, moving from 32 degrees to a freezer doesn't feel good.
No.
So I was warned. Um, so, I think when many folks are coming into these contexts, we often prepare ourselves somewhat, but not necessarily to the fullest of its extent. Like, we know that the place will be cold, but we don't have those kinds of clothing in our region.
Or we have the jacket but no mitts.
Yeah, exactly. No boots, right? Yeah.
I think the cold or weather generally is not something you can learn about until you experience it. Like, I could tell you all that I want to about how cold it is, but until you really, immerse yourself in that atmosphere, I don't think you would be able to know what it feels like, really.
Absolutely. That African proverb that says the only way to learn to cut a tree down is by cutting a tree down.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So here we go. Juliet, you got anything to add to this?
Yes, I do. So the thing is, coming from a continent that the coldest doesn't go beyond 20 degrees.
Yeah.
So when you are experiencing 0, -2, -5, I'm like, oh, geez, it's something else. But yeah, I was warned, so to say. I have friends that have been here before now, and they talked about it, what you should expect, what you should buy, how to prepare yourself for the winter. And then already can be.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing.
But as Junkie was saying, with the experience itself, it's like they can tell you all they want as far as the preparation goes, but realistically, you won't know until you get here and experience it for yourself. Because you'll go out and buy a winter jacket and it starts raining, you're like, damn it! No, I gotta go back to winters. So yeah, it's and I mean it's the same thing in Toronto. Like, I'm from like Scarborough itself, and like Scarborough separates on Victoria Park. So like south of Victoria Park could be like raining, and then north of Victoria Park it's sunny. Like, what the heck? You feel like you walk into another twilight, like it's a twilight zone or something. It's like completely. You're just like, wait, am I still in Scarborough? You're like, you don't even know. But that's just Canadian weather for you. And I'm a winter baby, so like I was born in January, so like cold is what I do, and like you still can't prepare for it. Like, it doesn't matter.
Stephanie, how do you chip in on this one? You weren't warned about it. You were just brought here, right? Right into this context. Born here.
Well, I suppose that's right. Yeah, I was born in New Brunswick, just one province west of here, and I don't think anybody thought to warn me, but because it's not that different. I think the thing that strikes me is that when I was in New Brunswick, I thought, well, these winters are, I mean, I was in Moncton. I grew up in Moncton, which is kind of in the snow belt, right? It's inland, it's not coastal. So we had snow up to our roof eaves most winters. What surprised me when I got to Nova Scotia was the gray and the rain. The snow I was prepared for, but I wasn't prepared for the rain and the slush and the lack of sunshine, I think is what really got to me in Nova Scotia.
All right. Thanks. That's, you just have to wait 5 minutes, Stephanie.
So did anybody, aside from what they were told, did anybody do any kind of research about Nova Scotian weather? I know that before I moved overseas, I spent a fair bit of time looking at what temperature it was in 1 month versus another, and understanding what the rainy season was, and that sort of thing. So did anybody here do any research before? I know some were told some things, but
I didn't do any research itself on the weather. So, because like I said, I'm from Canada, so I just figured it's Canada.
It's gonna be the same.
It's going to be the same. But then I was just only thrown off when I experienced it. And I'm like, this is not the same.
No, it is its
Yeah,
own
this,
weather.
yeah, this is its own weather like province in itself. Like,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, I did know, and I definitely would have done some research. Definitely.
About yourself.
Yes, I did. I did. Because for coming here,
Yeah.
yeah, I went online, I read the food, the economy, the people, the weather, and all that.
Yeah.
I did read about it, but
Yeah, that's like me too. Like that's the side I researched. Like before I moved here was like the amount of people in Nova Scotia, like the population. Like
Yeah.
that's the stuff. It wasn't the weather, just because it's Canada.
Yeah.
So like, and again, like even in that the time that I've been here, when I first came to Nova Scotia, I think it was about 400 or what was it, 560,000 or something like that people here. And now we're almost at 1 million past 4 years.
Yeah,
Crazy.
exploded here.
It's crazy.
So some of us are from here, some of us are new here. Have we all had one winter? You're yet to experience winter, right? You've got
this is gonna be my
It's the first one, yeah, because she's only 2 months. It is.
try not to
She already had her.
Yeah,
stuff. Don't psych her out. Don't psych her out. Well, Julia, if you think that snow that fell there the other day that was it, just be prepared to slide, right? That's when I said wait 5 minutes, I meant
It's no joke, yeah,
right.
literally.
There'll be enough snow to bury yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And your friend.
And your friends, yeah. Well, that doesn't mean anything, when you talk about being prepared, coming into this context, for me, the idea of coming here was to study, and that was the most important thing for me. I didn't factor in weather and all these kinds of things. I come in here for an education, and I just
On that.
yeah, focus on that. But then I said, people are living there already. Right. So
They must know something.
They must know something. They'll tell me when I get there. I can't rely on the knowledge of the people who are living in 32 degrees Celsius. So I did come into Toronto and spent 2 months in Toronto. And I thought, oh, this is nothing.
Yeah.
It was windy. Yeah, it got cold. But then when I moved to Nova Scotia, the water wets you, then the cold hits you, and that is what I wasn't prepared for.
In the bone.
Right in the bones. So my jacket that worked in Ontario did not work in Nova Scotia.
No.
So I think, I think more so, we should be educating Canadians about the inter-province weather patterns that exist. So when we travel across the province, they should know that if you're going to Vancouver or BC, dress like the tropics. But when you come to Nova Scotia, the East Coast area, you dress like you're really up to the North Pole.
Yeah.
It's all about layers.
Layers, yeah.
About the layer. Because the weather's going to change, so you need the extra for the cold, and then you need to be able to feel when it warms up. Yeah. I've always preached it's about the layers for Nova Scotia.
Yeah, so I'm joking.
Yeah, I was gonna say that from an international student perspective, like one of the things that I wish I was told to research about was layering, just like you mentioned. Because people tell you, oh, you're gonna need, a warm jacket and all that, but I don't think there's much details about how you need to dress under your jacket, which is important because like you have the jacket on, but what you wear underneath, like the material, the fabric, all this goes into how warm you're going to feel, really. And I think the other thing would be how to stay healthy during the winter, like things to take or, even sad. Like I don't think I heard about it until much later. So I feel like those are some of the things that I would have loved to be prepared for, like, how that it could be gloomy and you just need to get ready for that and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, does age have any factor in how prepared we are for the weather? In terms of, for those who've been around
Kids
Nova Scotia for a while, the younger people, university age students and so on, they can go out in a t-shirt in the middle of winter.
And shorts.
And, the older folks, they dressed in long johns and
Just like a
winter
ball of
jackets.
fur.
But does age have a factor to play in this? Does anyone want to jump in on that one?
I don't think age has a factor because when it comes to weather, I mean, whether you're young or old, you still have to prepare for it.
Yeah.
But I think there's just easier things to do to prepare for it. Just like younger, like, I have kids. My kid's 17 now. When my daughter's 3, my daughter's clothes is way more cheaper than his.
Yeah.
So it kind of right. It kind of it depends on what your situation is really, but age doesn't. I don't think age matters as far as
What do you think, Juliet?
I think I agree with him. It's not, I don't know, because I've seen what you talked about. I've seen a young girl just putting on, let's say, t-shirts, just a long t-shirts only. And then the people around her, including myself, were just clothed in jackets, heavy boots, but she just wore that with slippers, and I was like, wow. And it wasn't as in she was just so comfortable with her dressing and
like, are you not cold? Yeah, you're like, are you not cold? I mean, my pajama pants are pretty thin, so like I wouldn't be wearing those outside because I'd be freezing. So it's like, are you not cold? Because I am, and we're all bundled up. So
If you feel something's wrong with you.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you, Stephanie, what's your? How do you feel about that?
We were driving the other day to pick up our kids from school, and on the way home we passed the high school, and all the kids were flooding out. It was a cold day, and all the kids were flooding out with their t-shirts on, and like there's their light pants. I think one guy was even in shorts, and I remembered being a teenager refusing to put on my winter gear because I wanted to look cool, right? Like I wouldn't wear my toque, I wouldn't wear like all my good heavy winter clothes. So I think maybe there's a little bit of a priority shift when it comes to the weather as you get a little bit older. That would be the thing that comes to mind for me.
Or your fingers were so frostbite. You got frostbite.
That's right. Yeah.
I used to pack ridiculous dress shoes in my bag so that as soon as I got to school,
Sweet.
I was not going to be seen in big winter boots. So ridiculous. I think though age is a factor in not so much the clothing aspect, but the activity aspect. I think that, and I'm going to say us young people because I refuse to age, but one of the ways to combat the rain and the gray are activities. And I think, we're lucky here in Nova Scotia. We have a wide range of indoor and outdoor activities, and a lot of them free.
That's true.
To help us not be stuck indoors and not, especially with SAD, right? But I think that that's where age comes into play because, our older generations aren't self-motivating to get out and do some of the things.
And what about gender? Does gender has anything to do? And I'll share an example. You would see a young woman in a shorts, tank top, and all that in the winter. Meanwhile, the young boy will have on a t-shirt or a sweatshirt and a jeans, which will keep him much warmer. Do you think gender has a factor in this as well, or is it does the manufacturer of clothing influence how we experience our weather? What causes people to be whether to be prepared or not prepared for the weather? Do we have all these factors in play? Age, gender, societal pressure.
Yeah.
Anyone want to jump in there?
I immediately think of our nightlife. If you think of downtown Halifax in the dead of winter,
Oh my goodness.
there's high heels everywhere.
Yep. And you're like, are you not? Yeah, you're just standing outside. It's like, so you want to be pretty over being warm?
So you're gonna be sick.
So you're gonna get a cold or something. Like,
So there are so many factors that it should be in play to prepare us for weather, for Nova Scotia weather. And it's not only about coming to this context, it's about living here as well, and the type of pressures that society places on us to either dress a certain way.
Adaptation.
Yeah, and we see it as the acceptable norm. For instance, you will find the more bulky, warmer clothing being sold to an older generation of people, and the more skimpy, yeah, warm, they're being sold as warm.
Yeah.
Warm. And they're sold to the younger generation as a fashionable snow wear for a colder weather. But an older person will look at that and say, that only covers my leg, or one leg, or something like that. So I think all of these factors come into play. I want to jump in with the next question about what are the surprises about weather you've had here, and did you feel you were really prepared for Nova Scotia weather? Okay, I'll ask you to jump in on this one first, because you have had some experiences in different places, and you're currently in the snow belt. So jump in there for us. What surprised you the most about the weather here? And did you feel prepared for it, for the winter here, when you first came to Nova Scotia?
So I think if my memory serves me correctly, it was how long it spanned for. Because at first it's interesting, like the snow is out, you want to catch the snowflakes, you want to have fun, and then it's like, okay, I'm done already, and then it's still snowing, So yes, I was I think the length that it took for the winter, like the length of the winter, was a surprise to me. And yeah, that's the only surprise I can think about right now that I had.
Yeah, I'll say ditto, okay, that is exactly the way I felt after 3 nights of winter.
3 nights.
I didn't know more was coming. Yeah.
3 days? Okay, time for me now.
Stephanie, you want to jump in on that one?
I don't know. I think maybe I think maybe like our winter amnesia surprises me. Like in the Maritimes in Nova Scotia, we have this very prolonged kind of miserable winter every year. And it's like as soon as it's over, we forget that it ever happened. We never want to think about it again. And we fail to like prepare ourselves for the next one. So it happens year over year, and we kind of, I don't know, like I feel like we kind of don't develop good strategies for dealing with winter in Nova Scotia. Maybe it's like giving childbirth. They say women only remember the like good parts. I don't know.
So Stephanie, you just talked about strategies. Can you tell us, give us an example of a couple of strategies, or one strategy that we can use? We have someone in the audience here. When you mention these things, her face just go like, what do I need to do? How long is this winter that they're talking about?
In case you didn't know, she said that.
It's gonna be 5 minutes.
It goes on too long. Is all I can say. I don't know. One of my friends I was talking to recently reminded me that there is no such thing as bad weather, only bad wardrobe choices. So that's like a really good strategy to keep in mind. If you can dress for it, you can do anything and you can be reasonably happy. Your toes will be warm, your nose will be warm, as long as you have the right wardrobe for winter, whether it's rain gear or snow pants or whatever. Then it doesn't need to be something that is necessarily a barrier to your happiness all season. So I thought that's one that I'm going to keep close to my heart this winter for sure. Good wardrobe choices.
That's a very good point there, Stephanie. So you mean staying home is not an option?
I mean, maybe there's nothing wrong with just cuddling up under a blanket for the next 5 months, but it might be healthier to figure out ways to get out and about.
Oh, good.
So I'm interested too how everybody gets around, because I know I've had some real exciting, fun driving experiences. and busing and walking experiences. So maybe we could go around and discuss how we get around the city. And any of us that have had some winters, any road experiences or that they've had trying to get in and out. I'll start when I was on foot many years ago in the city and enjoyed the bus life.
Mhm.
I'll never
Very briefly.
forget, very briefly, yeah, I avoid them like the plague now, but walking around the city and after a snowstorm, and the snow was so high. And the next morning I woke up and I screamed in pain because I pulled a groin muscle, which I didn't even think was possible for women. I thought that was a guy thing.
Yeah.
But it was from trudging through this deep snow and having to take the steps, and I'm like 3 feet tall. So, you know, when there's a little bit of snow,
Snowbags are taller than you.
the snowbags are taller than me. So, you know, that was my walking experience. And plus the terrifying climb into the bus.
Because you don't know if you're gonna fall. Like, yeah, if it's solid snow, like if the bank is solid, or if it's and he can just go. Shoop.
You either fall back or fall back. Yeah. So what are some of your winter excursion experiences getting around the city? Do you have it?
Want me to go first?
Yeah.
Oh, I go. When I first moved here, I moved out here with a now ex. She had a vehicle of her own, so we drove here from Toronto, and then so like we drove here, and then when we moved here, we only had her car. So the first little while, I was bossing it. I lived at like Braemar Superstore, and I worked in Burnside. So I mean,
Oh wow.
it wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I could walk if I really wanted to. But then the winter started hitting, and I'm like, why does this bus take an hour?
Yeah.
Like, do I start working like 10 minutes? Like, so that's where I had to make my adjustments, was the timing, and straight up. Once snow, it's just like like she said, it's like an amnesia because we forgot about it.
Yeah.
Winter falls, and like, oh, snow, oh god, you know, like we're all like struggling to get. Yeah, I don't have my tire. Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's true where we completely forget about it. Then when it rolls around again, we're just like, we should have been prepared for this. Like, we should have known this was coming again. But yeah, so I just vowed never again. So I bought a car, and now I bought another one. So I bought, my first car was a front wheel drive, and that didn't go over so well. So after my car has been fixed now and repaired, you know, restored to her former glory, I have now bought a 4-wheel drive for my winter. Yeah, for my winter. So this is a part of me preparing. I've been here for 4 years, and I've seen every year something different. So I need to prepare for the following year. Like, it's plain and simple.
How about you, Julia?
Well, I take the bus all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but let's see how it goes.
How was your first snowfall experience?
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's about to. Oh, yesterday. Okay. Well, the test one, the test
Yes.
fall. Yeah.
Yeah,
How was the test fall?
not much.
Okay.
Like
He said it was a regular day. Regular day in Nigeria. All right. So, Ajoke, how about you?
For me, I think I had a similar experience to what he said about a combination of walking or taking the bus and then, you know, driving. So yeah, I think the bus system for me was something I had to get used to then as well, because I was staying in Herring Cove, and of course MSVU is like way off. So I you know, I would take the bus, and there's times where I remember I would have to wait for so long for the bus to come. And of course I would get cold, or I remember sometimes it would be raining, and you know, so it's snowing, it's raining. Like there's no shade.
Full.
Yeah, it's full, so you
Already
have to like
full.
stay out in the rain. So that wasn't that wasn't a fun experience for me really. But yeah, that's that's what I remember about that time. Mhm.
And I assume now that you're driving here to get around.
Yeah, definitely. It's much. I feel like when you have a car, you don't like winter is just one of those things really in terms of how to get around. But when you don't have a car and you have to plan, especially with the changes like that happens. So like when it's snowing, the bus could be delayed and stuff like that. So it's a lot to plan for really, because you have to be prepared to leave home earlier. There's a lot of things you have to consider as opposed to, just, and even when you have a car, you have sometimes like there's snow and you have to, get the snow off your car and all those things. So it takes time really. I think winter, you just have to plan either way. So whether you have a car or not, you still have some winter, planning to do.
And the tires, I swear, native Nova Scotians, I don't know if it's a stubborn thing, but moving from all seasons to winters, just
Do it.
do it.
Just
do
it. So
Such a difference.
they're called all seasons for a reason, and they're called winters for a reason. Just do it.
All seasons in Nova Scotia is not all seasons around the world.
Oh.
I
Fair enough. For any
I
other
had-
province for that matter. Okay, for me, I just want to echo what you guys were talking about. I thought I was the only one with that experience of hopping on the bus for a few months and saying never again. Well, it's just one of those experiences that you would never get used to. And I know, Juliet, you're sitting here thinking, what's wrong with the bus? Like that.
Bus lady over here, guys.
Well, the buses in Nigeria, that they're there. They don't have these set schedules and all that as it would be in Nova Scotia, and in many other contexts.
They just pick you up and
Right. You get picked up or dropped off at any destination. The buses would have taken me to my home, in front of my gate back home. Right. Here you can wait and you hope and you pray that a bus showed up. Things have gotten better, folks who are listening. We do have apps nowadays that tell you when the bus is going. But when I used the bus coming all the way from Cole Harbour to MSVU was a 2-hour trip. I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get to school for 8:30, my first class. And I vowed that after that year, I said, never again. And I bought a winter beater. It took me through several summers, and then it died. But I never went back on the bus. Right. Actually, I lied. I went back, but not by choice.
Yeah.
He was forced to, is what he's saying.
But I get what we're saying here. I think things are getting better with the bus system. So let's not scare these folks, because those who take the bus, we have to consider the environment as well and all that.
I don't think we're scared her. I think like in 2 months she's gonna come back and be like, guys, I got a car.
But just 5 minutes away from here.
Yeah.
Just have my bus car.
But I mean, we're talking about cars. We also should talk about the road situation here. Because I mean, I know I've had some doozy of experiences with winter roads. Has anybody else had any winter scares or?
Oh my God. Winter Scares is like my middle name. Oh, I was working in Burnside at Neocon. I went to pick up my boy Jake. I was coming from Main Street, going up to like Brownlow when you come up. And my car spun out of control, 360. And I was going backwards with onwards, like traffic coming toward me.
Yeah.
My car shut off.
Oh.
Because I hit the guardrail.
Yeah.
My bumper was hanging. Like it was just a mess.
Yeah.
And like, so I just like parked, it started back up, and I just like tried to spin before traffic came.
Yeah.
And then like got right off the highway. I was like just right there at work. So I was just like, whoo. But like almost died, literally almost died. And I was like, my boss was like a stickler for like being late and stuff. We started work at 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's a 12-hour shift.
Yeah.
And I clocked in at 6:59.
Yeah.
I go look outside my car. If you talk to me about being late, like it's gonna be me and you, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I think the one of the things that I have learned is that we become complacent over time. You would see the native Nova Scotians, and you've mentioned this before, driving with summer tire through the winter because you grew up here, you figure that you can handle this kind of weather, but familiarity breeds contempt, right? And as someone coming into this context, I often, as soon as the temperature starts to drop, I put on my winter tires.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I have too much to lose. I have young children. So I put on the winter tires.
But again, like you said, like, those same people have the nerve to try to get mad when you get in an accident. It's like you should have changed your tires.
Yeah.
It's the summer. It's winter.
I see Ajoke wants to chime in there. Go ahead, Ajoke.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I had a very similar experience with that, like not changing your tires on time because the weather is nice. And so we went to pick up my son, and we're coming in. The car still had the all-season tires, and then the car started to slide because we live up the hill, so to speak. It's not a real hill, but yeah, it's like slopey. So we were going up the hill, and the car slid. The car seat actually like almost fell off. So it was a real scare, because you have a young baby in the car. It's winter, and there could be another car coming. It was a huge scare, and I think we learned that lesson to do what we needed to do to change the tires on time from that time. But yeah, familiarity breeds contempt with
Someone walking to you often have to be very careful.
Yes.
Hiding as a pedestrian, you cannot stop that car.
Black ice is a very serious thing here.
And most often what happens is that the driver will hit the brakes.
Right.
And then they will shoot like a bullet.
Yeah.
Right. So someone taking the bus or well, I hope not riding. Right. It's very, very dangerous. I think it's even more dangerous for someone who is walking with children as well in these kinds of weather. And you really do need to be cognizant of your surroundings and pay attention to what's happening. We are often trained to walk and face the oncoming traffic, so you always know what's happening, right? If someone is behind you and you're walking in the same direction in your car, you won't see your death coming.
Yeah.
At least if you're facing the oncoming traffic, you will have that time to jump away or something of that.
It's a split second.
Yeah.
And resist the urge to stop and help all the time. It's I don't know if it's a Canadian thing or it's a Scotian thing, but I've heard it is. You see something happen, you want to stop and help. And just coming from experience of flying down a winter road, flipping and rolling, the amount of people that tried to stop to help, and every single one of them lost control and nearly got into an accident themselves.
Yeah.
This is a time for us to trust the rescue services,
and what they're supposed to do is let them do their jobs.
Yeah, because you're going to end up part of the mess here. Sure. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So I got this next question, and it's just to find out the challenges in accessing your basic needs like groceries and getting gas for your car and those kinds of things during the winter months. I think when we speak of groceries, maybe just talk about cost and all those kinds of things and accessing fresh groceries during the winter months. So, Stephanie, how about you jump in on this one first?
Great question. I mean, a lot depends on where you go for your groceries. I live in Dartmouth. Now I have a car. I have good options for getting around. Thankfully, I couldn't agree more with what you guys were saying about the bus services in Halifax and Nova Scotia during the winter. I mean, one of the things that we struggle with a little bit in our family is that the markets shut down, like the farmers markets. Many of them kind of shut down or go to reduced capacity in the winter time, which is a bit of a bummer because that's kind of that farm fresh food that we like to get. And I don't know. I think you see a little bit of a decreased quality in the food in the supermarkets, maybe a little bit in the winter. But I have to say, for me overall, it hasn't been a huge issue.
Well, considering now too that they have apps for that.
Yeah.
So like you can order your groceries and somebody goes and picks it up and brings it to your house.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
like COVID now, everything's different. So like accessibility has gone way up.
Way
Yeah.
up. Way up.
But like how good is the product how good is the product you're accessing?
Yeah.
You know, it's it's kind of bittersweet again, right?
Yeah, yeah. Julia, how about you? Did you consider how you will access groceries and those kinds of things during the winter? And are you prepared for the lack of those familiar foods that you used to get?
Well, I already factored in the fact of this delivery stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, having it delivered, I think that would be a long way to help.
Let's talk about the poor student who can't afford the food for the first place.
Sad when MSU closed their food pantry.
Oh, it's closed?
Yeah.
No, it's open. It's out open now, but
When they closed it,
COVID closed it down.
Yeah, I think during the winter, many of our students will miss those somewhat familiar foods, especially those who are coming from warmer climates. You will have some of your familiar foods growing during the summer months, and then all of a sudden it's gone, right? Or the price has gone up.
Yes.
So be prepared for those kinds of things. You'll get a mango for $1 during the summer and for $2.50 in the winter. So you either eat as much as you can during the summer or save as much as you can. One or the other, right?
Produce suffers majorly.
I think it does.
Yeah, for me, I think it is quite challenging for me in terms of being prepared for groceries and those kinds of things, like every other person. But our strategy is, in my house at least, we grow a lot of produce. Everything that's every inch in our yard has something growing. And everything is edible except the grass, of course, which we don't have much of.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter, right? We have vertical gardens and everything is happening. And we freeze just about every leftover.
Keep it fresh.
Yeah, we would eat and then freeze. Right now we have cold frames and I've just built a new greenhouse. So all of these things are still going throughout the winter, and I see some strawberry flowers are coming up, and raspberries are still going. So we do have a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I think one of the strategies that I think we could employ is freezing stuff. Like your mango, you get it cheap during the summer, you buy a whole lot, put it in the freezer.
Smart.
And strawberries and cherries and these things. When the prices go up, you can save there and use that money towards something else. I think for me during the winter is, as opposed to looking for food that will fill you and all that and fancy stuff, I often look, well, I should say my family, we often look for those that has the necessary nutrients that will help us to not get sick and to give us the required nutrients for the day and those kinds of things. So I think it's all about shopping and eating with a strategy.
Portion
control.
During the winter, and exactly. And you will find that during the winter, because prices go up, people tend to eat less of certain things. But then at times
that's healthy too.
Healthy. It's
expensive.
I think what we've often been told is to look for the produce that grow or that are abundant in those seasons. Right, you try to accumulate those things, and I know much won't grow.
I never thought about it that way.
I know I've been about that now too. I never thought about like that.
Yeah, so just as a strategy for a student, you might not have a deep freeze, but you might be able to build a cold box outside to put some stuff in there. Yeah, not hard to do. All right. Anyone else want to chime in on these winter months woes for food supplies?
Well, I think that's great. I've just learned something to do this summer. I'm going to be stocking up on all kinds of veggies and freezing them. But clothing, we talked about that earlier, and having adequate clothing, and not just clothing, but blankets
Yeah.
and and that sort of thing. And I just want to say, the thrift stores
Mhm.
are the places to go. You can get a Columbia
always stocked.
jacket.
They're
I mean,
always
they're
stocked.
always stocked. That's where I get my sheets, my blankets, my comforters. Like, I've gone to Walmart and Best Buy, or not Best Buy. That's I'm a geek. That's always on my mind.
Yeah.
What is it, Giant Tiger? But you're still paying like $40 and $50 for like a sheet set.
Yeah.
That's so, but I go to the thrift stores and I only spend, I think the most I ever spent on a comforter was $10, and it was the cake.
Yeah.
But that's the ticket.
Yeah.
You hit that thrift stores. There's a lot of them
A lot
around.
of golden items in there.
Yeah, absolutely. But, especially for prepping, because, just for that blanket on the couch,
Yeah.
for a throw, you're gonna pay 30, $40 at Walmart for a little throw.
Yeah.
And you can spend $2 and get a nice
Thrift store for the same thing.
Yeah.
And another strategy too, which I learned from my aunt who has been here for over 40 years. She bought everything at the end of the season.
Yeah.
This is when she buys summer clothes,
Mhm.
right? When it's $2 for a $50 shirt.
It's just like November 1st, all the candy's basically free.
Yeah.
You buy summer clothes now because the stores wants to get rid of them.
Yeah.
To bring in their own
Stock.
stocks, right? And then at the end of the winter, so Julia, this is when you buy your summer clothes.
Go down.
Go down.
At the end of the winter, you buy winter stuff.
And you buy the winters because everything discounted, yeah. And then you have it for the following, yeah.
Yeah, next winter you are ready. And if you're not that person who has to keep up with the fashion, then you got your stuff going.
You're good to go, yeah.
Right. And this is what we often do: just buy and stock.
Yeah.
And if I could share any advice here, a few bins from Canadian Tire, these big bins,
Rubber-made ones.
Rubber-made bins and so on, those are great investments. They can store your things in a safe and secure place. Yeah. And you keep them from season to season.
Yeah.
As opposed to having to change out your clothes every season to fit the trend.
That's literally what I do.
Yeah.
Literally, I have my clothes in my, like right now, my winter clothes are out.
Yeah.
All my summer clothes are in my bins.
I think it's a Canadian ritual.
Yeah, I swear. Because
It's time to switch out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I see Juliet is looking at us and is like, what's this bin they're talking about? What's your question, Juliet?
You just said it. What's this thing?
So for those students who don't know what we're talking about out there, and by the way, I just want to remind those who are listening, we are under the baobab tree, and the topic we discuss is winter is coming, and we're talking about Canadian winter and how we experience it and how we can experience it in a positive way.
Yeah.
We're providing tips and clues and strategies, and you name it. When you listen to this podcast, after you listen, if you don't save money, you can.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's seriously.
Yeah, maybe you'll hear it the second time.
So I hope that you will learn something when we're done. But these bins that we're talking about are oftentimes when people are shipping stuff back home to their countries, they'll either use barrels or
Tokens, they call them.
Yeah, and it's just a large.
Barrels is more an international thing.
Yeah, barrel is.
Like Jamaicans, we send stuff on a yacht in barrels too. Like,
really?
Yeah, that's how we do it. But here it's just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And they sell for about between $16 to $40, right?
Depending on size.
Depending on size. So just get some that are manageable You don't want to get the huge ones that can't fit under your bed or can't fit in your closet or can't go through your door.
One that slide under.
Wants to go on.
Just be aware of your space and measure your space that you want to store your stuff. Go to the store and ask for storage bins this size. And
They're always on sale.
yeah, they're always there.
They're always on sale. There's always
Good
generally
selection.
promotion.
Yeah.
I like Canadian Tire for.
I go Canadian Tire too.
Yeah. And those bins can save you a lot of time and money.
And stress.
And they're mouse proof.
Yeah, and they're mouse proof. That is key.
Yeah.
That's very key for storage.
So what are mouse doing here in the winter? I don't know. Well, let's shoot
Them things survived the Holocaust. I don't know.
Mice are like cockroaches
Exactly.
everywhere. So now that we're addressed and we've dealt with the roads, what's left is activities. We talked about it at the very beginning. I've myself done a lot of searching for, something different, something new, and I've discovered a lot. We can go horseback riding. It's not even a 30-minute drive outside the city, and they're open in the winter. So it's a great little excursion. You can go for half a day, a couple hours, the whole day. One of the places has a big pool and hot tub, so you can take the horses for a couple hours, stop, have a bite to eat, go for a swim, warm up in the hot tub, and then go for another ride. So there's that. But I'd be interested to hear what our panel members here have found for winter activities. Joke, am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
For me, I would say, can you hear me all right? I think the line is breaking up. You can?
Yes.
Okay, because I can hear myself again. Anyways, so talking about winter activities, I think for me, now that I have a family, like a growing family, I'm thinking more towards building traditions. So I'm a little bit more invested than I would be if like I didn't have kids right now in trying to search for activities to do, the kids and places to go and all of that. So things like
Lights would have been great for the kids.
Sorry?
Parade of Lights just happened last week, Saturday. That would have been great for the kids.
Oh no, I'm not in Halifax at the moment. I'm in Montreal.
Montreal. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, so there's quite a lot of things that, one could do. Skiing, ice skating. For me, I think the first time that I did ice skating was in Halifax, and it was because the IEC, the International Educational Center, they had this program where students could come and then we went together as a group. And I think for winter activities, I prefer that we go in a group because it's most of these things is like it's new territory for me. And it's something that I want to explore with that confidence of having somebody who is at least experienced,
Yeah.
So it takes more for me to put myself out there when it's something I've never done. Like I've only read about it, so it's different than having somebody who's done it before. So that really helps when it comes to, doing winter activities for me. Yeah.
Okay, I like the point that you made of going with people who has done it before.
Yeah.
For international students, I just want to flip the coin for you on this one. Going to these kinds of activities with people who have done it before, they will put on their skates, lace up, and they will hop on the ice. They will skate backwards, sideways. They will jump and all that. And you're looking at them and thinking, I can do that. You head out there,
that happens.
You get your first fall going forward,
Yeah.
and you might want to get off the ice. But just remember that those folks have been on the ice for decades, and you're now going for the first time. So please go out there expecting your fall.
Yes.
And expecting to pick yourself up and try again, right? Because those experts have fallen.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. So I just wanted to put that in there. I just remember going to the Oval a few years ago, and there's this one person who I won't call their names. I went around the oval about 5 times as a non-expert in skating, and that person didn't get their shoes on, their boots on just yet. And when they finally got their boot on, fell flat on their face as soon as they touched the outside. And they said, "Let's go."
Yeah, I'm going. Yeah.
Right.
I'm done.
So it can be scary. In fact, when you fall on the road, it's going to be embarrassing, and you will tell yourself, "I'm never doing this again." And notice I say, when you fall on the road.
It's gonna happen.
I'm looking at Julia too.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
So I was telling Juliet to, when we have our first snowfall, go out there, take a fall,
Yeah.
get it under
Out of the way.
Yeah, get it under the way. And under a controlled situation where you know I'm going to fall, just go down.
It's good. Yeah.
Mhm.
So when the time comes, you know how
You know how
to
it
fall.
Absolutely, it's true.
That's
True.
Just pick grass.
Yeah,
Over cement, yeah,
yeah, exactly.
and soft snow over hard snow,
Yeah,
always.
And you can't forget the muscles that you use in skating. You probably have never used before.
yeah.
So it's not just
If you're not like an athlete or
it's those
the
shins,
shins.
right? The first 2 trips around, and you're like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But all in all, I think going out in the winter and in the fresh
You gotta
air,
make it fun.
it has to be fun. We already talked about what the weather looks like in Nova Scotia during the winter. It's gloomy. Nobody wants to be locked up in a house all winter long. I just remember as a student, and when I think about this, it was so dangerous, so stupid, but we did it because we were young and stupid, right? We went down these hills when they were building Dartmouth Cross.
Yes.
Huge. And then when the summer months came, we looked at the stones that were stood.
You did,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we put that in like plastic bags.
Yeah, like we didn't count.
It's like man too.
Or just the
Like
plastic sheets.
Citadel Hill.
Oh, Citadel Hill's huge too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Citadel
So
Hill's.
I think just going out there builds memories, right?
Yes.
Things
Yeah.
to talk
Yeah.
about. And now we have fun activities to tell our children about. When my one son said, "No, it's too cold," we talk about how much fun it was when we came down a hill as a student. And I try my best to take my children outside as often as possible so that they have these kinds of experience.
Of course.
And I encourage international students to do that as well, because you have to acclimatize yourself, your body to this climate after coming from the extreme cold, the extreme warmth or heat.
Mhm.
Getting familiar with your surroundings is important.
And I mean, not everyone's an activity person, but there are still things that you can do to get out of the house. We just opened here, I think it's been open 2 years now, maybe, a Nordic spa. So about, at the most, 30 minutes out of the city. They have saunas and hot pools and cold pools and hammocks and so you don't have to go skating, you can go relax, but it's an experience and it's out of the house,
And it will help with those winter blues.
Absolutely.
Those winter blues, yeah.
So you got to
Okay.
recognize too that much of these things cost, right? So are there things out there that students can go to that doesn't cost a whole lot? I'm thinking
So many.
I'm thinking like if you like swimming, it would be the Canada Game Center
Well,
or
Friday nights, I think it's Friday nights or Saturday that it's only like $2. Yeah.
and then the Sprite Field Wave Pool, you can swim. There's one night you can swim for free. There are all of these small things.
Just gotta look it up, do your research, yeah.
Yeah, and some people just like going to the winter.
Yeah, that's true.
Just inside the warm hole.
Oh,
You're stuck in
Walk
town.
around.
Yeah, nice warm wall. You get to see the snow in the roof and all that. But at least you're out of the house, enjoying something out there.
And still mingling with society, which is important at these times.
Now that you said this, I think looking forward to that.
Okay, you got any tips?
Stuff to do.
I was just going to say that from an international student perspective, it's you're more likely to go out in the winter when you have friends to go with than if you were alone. Because just being alone, thinking about having to take a bus to a place you've never been before, you've researched about, you don't know what you're going to be doing, nobody to take your pictures, could be overwhelming at times. So when you have a group of people, I found that really helped, with embracing the weather.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, again, important, find a snow buddy. Because if you're driving alone and you drive off the road, you want somebody there to, not to be a witness, but to help you.
Yeah, even if it's you can't push a car by yourself.
Exactly.
Even if it's just you're a little caught in a ditch, at least you have somebody to help you.
Yeah.
Stranded out there by yourself in the cold.
And the joke you raised a very good point is having someone who is familiar. So
knows what's
knows where
the
to
terrain
go.
or wherever it is.
Yeah. And you got to remember too that there's not always snow on the ground.
No.
Right. And those are the times when I'm very, very scared because you don't know if there's black ice.
You can see the I'm scared too.
Right. But and oftentimes it's cold.
See the snow. Be like, oh, okay, as opposed to not, and then
yeah, exactly. And oftentimes when there's no snow around,
that's when and it's cold. Yeah, so that's what happens.
It has to warm up snow.
Yeah, exactly. So there are other activities that can take place. Right at MSVU, you can use the gym for free as a student. You can use the basketball court at MSVU for intramural soccer or touch football or badminton and all of these indoor games and so on. And again,
grab your crew and head to the
things. We did a lot of these during my time as a varsity athlete. We would have many of my colleagues, teammates, we would just do a lot of activities together. And we were in similar classes as well. We would agree to meet up at certain places and then just keep ourselves busy throughout the winter.
We have things like the rage room, and escape rooms, so plenty of indoor.
Yeah.
Learning. You just embracing winter doesn't
climbing.
Yeah, we have a lot of wall climbing gyms. I love doing that.
Sky zone.
Yeah, embracing winter doesn't mean embracing the cold. I mean, you can enjoy winter and avoid the cold like the plague.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Leah, tell me about this as we wrap up here. This minter idea. Why did we choose minter?
Well, it's the time of year where we put away all that is pumpkin. Our focus becomes peppermint and candy, and it's just kind of part of winter is peppermint everything, really. It's that what is that coffee? Starbucks, right. Yes, Tim Hortons and their hot nuts. It's just that time of year where we just say goodbye to fall and accept that everything is peppermint from now on.
Yeah. Do we have any questions from our panelists?
No questions, but I just want to thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it. It's a good discussion.
Okay. So happy.
Are you a little excited about what's coming, or
now that you
it's a mix?
about it, I'm kind of relaxed.
You're okay.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just thanks for having, a comfortable conversation. Because, of course, when it's the weather, you're thinking it's not going to be as interesting as it was. So yeah, it was an interesting conversation to have.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for joining us under the Baobab Tree. I've been your host, and my co-host here, Leah Jones. She has been really awesome in helping us understand winter from a peppermint pumpkin perspective. we have had a really awesome time discussing what it looks like sitting under the fire or sitting out in the snow or playing at the mall, wherever we go. I'm thanking you all for listening right now and hope to meet with you at our next discussion. Have a really happy winter season. Thank you.
Cheers, Dad. Thanks.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thanks, guys.